I think that when I say the word cheater in Elden Ring context, most of you probably know what I'm talking about. But for those of you unfamiliar, cheaters in Elden Ring refers to a type of player that will use third-party software to give themselves unfair advantages. And when I say unfair advantage, I don't mean to simply spawn golem arrows to not have to farm them for days on end como granjero patagónico. Cheats that break game boundaries, such as infinite HP, for example. And while someone cheating their game while playing solo is their problem and it doesn't affect anybody else, the issue manifests itself when you run into these people in PvP. Because as you may know, Elden Ring allows gamers to invade other gamers.
Dude, what the?
Cheaters have been discussed in the Souls community since the dawn of time, with even some prominent figures like Malcolm Reynolds being infamous for their stunts, such as corrupting save files and soft-banning people on Steam. Truly cheater behavior. However, while it is understandable for gamers to evade cheaters at all costs, there is a common misconception where the community believes that all cheaters are like Malcolm Reynolds, when in reality, the big majority of cheaters are just very low-skilled goobers fucking around with cheat engine. And these are the little shitheads we're gonna discuss today. By the way, most of the cheaters we are going to discuss operate mostly inside seamless co-op, as easy anti-cheat does keep them at bay and prevents cheaters from happening in vanilla Elden Ring. Most of the time, at least.
Che, medio que tengo la sensación de que me filmaron el culo.
I want to start by repeating myself. It is completely fine if you don't want to deal with cheaters of any sort. It is true that there have been cheaters who like to mess with other players, not by getting infinite HP, but by outright corrupting other gamers' save files and actually ruining their game experience. But despite how dramatically horrific of an experience this may sound for the average chronically online Souls fan, like me, for example, it is extremely uncommon nowadays for you to run into one of these guys. In our 1500 hours of Elden Ring, this has happened to us exactly 0 times. And while the possibility of it happening is never realistically 0, we are pretty sure we are gonna be fine for a very long time. This gets me to my next point, and it's a sentiment I have been wanting to share with you, my dear little Milanesas Napolitanas. Do not be afraid of fighting cheaters. In fact, I encourage you to do so. There is no better feeling in this game than beating someone who displays arrogance and cheekiness while having all the odds stacked in their favor. And when I say beating, I don't necessarily mean killing them in-game. Sometimes that will be outright impossible, as you will see in a few moments. When I say beating, I mean to not let them get away with their shit. If their goal is to make you have a bad time, show them your business by making them have a worse time. You have nothing to lose, and they have their fragile bitch egos on the line. So it really just becomes a game for you and a dreadful reality check for them. So I guess by now the question you're asking yourself is, that's pretty nice and all, but how the fuck do I beat a cheater? Well, in order to defeat a cheater, first you need to know what type of cheater you are facing. Ross Bucket has a very nice video describing all the types of cheaters you're likely to encounter in Seamless Co-op. So go check it out after you watch this one and subscribe to his channel. Yay! To make a long story short and for your own convenience sake, we can separate cheaters into 2 categories. Cheaters you can consistently kill and cheaters that you can't consistently kill. As easy as that.
A la cama.
Cheaters you can consistently kill will be players that walk around with something known as HP regen cheat. It's the most common one. This cheat will refill their HP each time they take damage, but it doesn't make them immortal. All you need to do is deliver a blow that deals more damage than their maximum HP and poof, se murieron. Cheaters you cannot consistently kill include no-death cheaters who will always remain at 1 HP, and this cannot be bypassed in any way, not even by big falls or by triggering deathlight. The only way to kill these cheaters is by throwing them in specific areas where they will fall off the map and trigger a death script. But as you may guess, that's easier said than done.
Why? This is sickening!
And then there's the losers with infinite iframes. Yep, you can't really do anything about those. The only thing you can do is rely on their own incompetence for them to fuck up and unalive themselves. However, this is the part where you realize you're in luck, because I would dare to say that 99% of cheaters you'll run into are absolute dog shit at the game. To give you some examples and to motivate you to fight cheaters, I'll show you many examples of them getting their just desserts. And I'm gonna start with a little story about a cheater who actually ruined his friend's experience. We recently made a video talking about my Dark Moon wedding present for you. You better be using it, you little fuck. Trying to see what its performance was like in PvP. In one of our invasions, we came across a group of players in Grunk's crib. Everything seems normal at first, until you realize that the players in this area are all at a much lower level than mine. Suspicious, to say the least, because that would be impossible due to the matchmaking system, but whatever. Then the real fucked up thing happens. As you may have probably guessed, this is not normal. So I looked up who I played against on Steam and sent a friend request to all of them in hopes of getting an answer. Surprisingly, one of them actually responded. He was also very nice and friendly, while also allowing me to screen cap our chat for this video. So I say hi to this guy and I say, hey, I think I invaded you guys today. I got one-shotted by someone. XD, like 2300 damage in one hit. What's up with that? XD. Then they say that they got invaded a lot, and they don't seem to have much game knowledge based on what they're saying, and they actually admit to it. I show them the frames of the moment I got one-shotted. He responds with a skull emoji. Very fitting. At first I believed it was him, but upon closer inspection, I actually realized it was the guy with the bloodhound claws. He just did a one-handed leg attack on me and I was gone. He even says that he wouldn't put cheating past him, but they have been getting invaded so much and destroyed so often that he doesn't know what to think. So I asked him if I can 1v1 his friend, después de comerme mis chicken nuggets, por supuesto, and both him and his friend agree. We repeatedly tried to connect many times, but it always returned an error message, and I suspected that his friend maybe had blocked me. And he said that his friend was gonna try adding me, and boy oh boy, what a coincidence, after I told him that his friend blocked me, now I can actually join their world. Pretty huge coincidence, huh? Now with the cheater and I finally face to face, it was time to put our hypothesis to test. The first thing I want you to notice is that the guy is supposedly level 90, something that will be pretty funny once you realize that he has over 2000 HP without Morgoth's Great Rune. But stupid waifu, he probably just leveled bigger. And yeah, I would normally say you are right, but after a few moments of dominating his ass in combat, this happened. Either he has the supreme gaming chair of the Elder Gods, or he's cheating. And Occam's razor will probably shave off the gaming chair thing. Also, the fact that I was able to survive that kinda puts in perspective the importance of vigor, huh? Anyway, after finally confirming that this disgusting waste of oxygen is cheating, my approach to the fight changes. He is clearly very confident in the fact that one trade is all he needs to win. So we are gonna use that in our favor. We equip our trusty parry shield, we wait for the right opportunity for our setup, and... ¡Ah! ¡Tu casa! ¡Gordo puto! After the match, the cheater's friend seemed very amused by the situation, even expressing that he didn't really know his friend was cheating, and both him and that other junkler guy were upset at the other guy for cheating and lying to them. I also explained to him that it would seem that the cheater, aside from having modified damage, boosted some of his stats manually and without modifying his level. He clearly did this in order to trick other players into believing he was the same level as them, but you know what they say, you can fool people, but you cannot fool the system.
Chicken isn't vegan?
The way matchmaking works in Seamless is a bit different than vanilla. Since the creator of Seamless Co-op knows that people may cheat their stats, the matchmaking formula will take into account the total sum of the player's stats rather than the level variable. And since the cheater probably has boosted stats, the sum of his stats was way higher than the level showcased in the variable. The guy was not only fucking their PvE experience by making light work of mobs and bosses, he was also ruining their PvP experience by matchmaking his friends with high-level invaders. This guy was a complete degenerate. But but not as degenerate as FromSoft making their new multiplayer Souls game a Nintendo Switch exclusive.
What?
You wanna play Bloodborne 2? Well, you better line up the dog, boy. Do you know how much a Nintendo Switch 2 costs? Luckily for you, at the very least, you can save some bucks on the game. Because Instant Gaming has got your back! As a website with over 10 million satisfied customers, Instant Gaming spits on the overinflated prices assigned by the man and offers great leniency to those economically challenged poggies who really want their fourth anime armpits video game. You can rest easy knowing that all of the amazing discounts in games, game cards, and subscriptions you can shop for in Instant Gaming are safely backed up by great Trustpilot reviews, alongside night and day customer support. And of course, it doesn't matter if you built an altar for Gabe Newell or Bill Gates, nor what console has replaced your dad's photo in the family picture book. Instant Gaming will always have you covered.
But wait! There's more!
By clicking my custom link in the description or pinned comment and creating an Instant Gaming account, you will participate in a free giveaway where you'll be able to purchase anything of your liking. No purchases necessary. Just creating an account is enough. So what are you waiting for? Those morally questionable games won't add themselves to your Steam library. Huge thanks to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. But at least that guy was beatable by easy conventional means of combat. Something that we can't really say about our next two orc abortions. I step into crumbling Farum Azula to cause some mischief, and I run into this guy right here. At first, he seems normal, just a bit absorbed into his mind, but it is only when I remind him that he left Invasion Sim Seamless enabled on purpose that he decided to go to town and activate his health refill cheat. After a few hits, I confirm this, and yeah, the motherfucker activated cheats as soon as I step into his world, which, I remind you, is something that he allowed on purpose. At the moment, I wasn't very sure of how to deal with HP refill cheaters, since the only time I managed to kill one was by complete accident during a stream. But I had a vague idea, and I figured I just had to deal more damage than his maximum HP. I attempted to do this, but the guy was so fucking full of himself that he simply decided to ignore me and continue with the PvE, something that of course I wasn't willing to accept. I buzzed around him like the most annoying mosquito you will ever see until it dawned on me. What does the most damage in a single hit? A riposte from the Misericord, of course. It was parrying time. After a few attempts, I managed to pull off a parry setup and... Hasta la próxima. We actually learned a new strategy to deal with this type of cheaters. Insane. A strategy we applied for the next Shrek spawn disguised as your everyday Kevin. We were recording for another video when we ran into Gustavo.
My name is Gustavo.
As soon as we hit Gustavo, the truth came out like a gunner's knot. Gustavo was cheating. Realizing that our full attention was gonna be needed to deal with Gustavo, we decided to massacre his discount Gideon friend to not have anyone else bothering us. Chasing Gustavo around would have been much easier if it wasn't for the fucking tree sentinel.
But Rani, Reddit taught me field enemies do not attack invaders.
¿Qué acabas de ver, Betty?
But Reddit said,
¿Qué acabas de ver?
But since Gusta Kevin had the IQ of a microwave Dorito, we were free to pester him like the plague as he tried to clumsily deal with the tree sentinel. I love that this is probably New Game Plus and the dude is fighting the sentinel as if this was the first time he gripped a joystick. But what can you expect from a fucking cheater? Anyway, después de dejarle el culo como la bandera nipona a base de backstabs, I decided Gusta Kevin's death was long overdue and proceeded with the parry. And nothing of value was lost that day. However, Gusta Kevin was an inferior type of Elden cheater. I actually left the main course for the end, so I hope you're hungry, fat boy. In our previous video talking about max level gamers, we ran into two particular specimens. One using the no-death cheat, meaning that killing this guy wasn't really an option, so we had to crush his spirit instead.
Oh no!
And another mutant using an infinite poise cheat. But what happens if you combine both of these sentient turds and use polymerization? It was a warm summer evening. We invaded the crumbling Faro Masula and we ran into two fellas doing PvE stuff. As soon as they spot me, they go bananas and start throwing shit at me. One of them panics after realizing that I'm not a PvE enemy who will just eat his mashing, and comically plummets to his death. And when the elevator rises, that's when we see him in all his glory. I was a bit slow that day because it took me a second to realize that Kevin had infinite poise. So I retreated to heal and hit him again to finish the job because he was almost out of HP, only to realize to my surprise that Kevin was immortal. The walking trash can even has the audacity to fucking heal. Absolutely insane. Not knowing at the time that HP refill and no death were not the same thing, I tried my trusty parry trick only to realize that it doesn't work. I tried parrying again, but parrying a 285 millisecond motherfucker who can't be set up is not an easy thing to do. Only chance I had was throwing Kevin into the abyss, which was gonna be quite difficult because, well, I can't move him. So the only thing I can do is toy with him. Goof around making him think I wanna fight, run away to heal behind the miniboss, just wasting his time in general. Then I remembered I was on a Fate build, so I tried the Eclipse Shotel Death-like meme. Spoiler alert, it wouldn't have worked. But after a few moments, Kevin realized I was not gonna give up, so he did the only thing any coward cheater can do. He gave up. We successfully crushed his spirit. That or either his friend was telling him to just get on with it. Anyway, what lessons can be learned from these cheater interactions? I would say that the most important one is that facing cheaters is not gonna be the end of the world. Yes, they can be annoying and frustrating, but keep in mind that their goal is not only winning. It's giving you a bad time, so you can just turn that bad time around and give yourself a good time while you play around with these useless goobers. Of course, if you're still not convinced, it's okay if you decide to just avoid and block cheaters. Really, you are not obligated to fight them. But the gist of it is, you are the one in control here. Because when you fight a cheater and lose, it is to be the expected outcome. But if the cheaters lose, their egos won't allow them to forget it. Just think about that the next time you encounter one, okay?